rolling.
Cool. Camera's rolling.
Okay. All right. Well, let's start with your give us your name, your location, your name, your city and state, and what your title is and where you work.
Okay. Well, I'm AnikaZappe. I am the corporate beverage director for Punch Bowl Social and Le Grand Bistro, and I'm in Denver, Colorado.
Great. So how long have you been bartending?
I've been bartending for almost 18 years now. I started back in 1995.
And what do you love about bartending?
You know, what I love about bartending, I think, there's a lot of things. I love the pace of the work. I like being busy. I think one of my favorite things about it in general is the social interaction, the humanity that happens in bars. There's, you know, everything happens in bars, from people getting engaged to people getting divorced. There's baby showers, people falling in love, people falling out of love. You can see all of that in a bar, and yeah, I like the pace of it.
That's great.
And I like the money.
Tell us about any awards or recognitions you've received if you've been in the media.
Yeah, I've gotten a few awards. In 2009, I won first place in Bombay Sapphire's Most Inspired Bartender competition here in Denver, Colorado. I went on to their nationals in Vegas. Didn't win there, but that was still a lot of fun. That same year, I won the 42 Below Vodka Below Me competition in Denver. I was also acknowledged by Grand Marnier as one of their top 100 mixologists in the nation, and I attended the Vail Mixology Summit. I was nominated in 2009 from Denver Magazine as one of the top mixologists in Denver. Also in 2009, I attended the Bar Academy in New York City, which is, I think, kind of widely recognized as one of the premier higher education, if you will, for bar people. And I graduated bar certified from that. I've judged numerous competitions, which I enjoy doing, as I've recently judged contests for Pierre Ferrand Cognac, Campari, Sky Spirits, Saint Germain, Boca Loca, Cachaça. I've done a couple TV appearances, mostly some videos for online content and things like that, but I did a TV appearance on Everyday Colorado, a Colorado morning show. And there have been some various mentions in local press here and there when they do their, you know, best of Denver issues, things like that, different bars I've been associated with. I don't keep track of every one of them, but those are some of the big ones.
Right. Sounds like a lot. So what would you say separates a good or okay bartender from a great bartender?
You know, I think one of the very most basic things that I would say answers that question in a nutshell is...
Let me interrupt just quickly.
Yeah.
Anything that I say isn't going to be on the tape.
Okay.
So when I ask
Repeat the question back. Yeah, I gotcha. So some of the things that I think, one of the main things that I think separates a good bartender from a great bartender really is going to boil down to how much they enjoy their work and do they love being a bartender or not. I think that there's a lot of things that I can teach people about bartending that helps cultivate that love for the craft, but I think people kind of need to inherently be born into it. Some of us really enjoy that crazy tension that comes with that Friday night rush, and other people hate it. I think a good bartender needs to be detail oriented. I definitely believe that having a good working knowledge of spirits and cocktails and wine and beers, of course, all of that really helps to enhance your guest's experience. I think being flexible, knowing what your guest at your bar is interested in. Are they there to talk? Are they there to be left alone? Being kind of perceptive to that has a lot to do with awareness. And I think one of the best clues for service that I've recently heard from one of my colleagues, and I love it so much. I've really adopted it, and it's to take yourself out of the equation. I think a great bartender never takes things personally. It really is all about service, and it's about being able to be there for your guests and not have it be about you, but have it be about them.
Great. So along these lines, what would you say are like maybe 5 technical tips for someone new to the trade?
Yeah, I've been training a lot of new bartenders in the last few years, so I feel like I've gotten a lot of opportunities to pass on some knowledge to people. I think if I had to name 5 things that I think are essential for new bartenders to know, skill-wise, well, first off, and this might end up sounding like 3 things, or 4 even, I think it's really important to know just the basic skills behind muddling drinks, shaking drinks, how to properly stir a cocktail, how to build a cocktail, and when those different approaches and techniques are necessary. So, within that answer, I could get a lot more specific if you'd like me to on what all of those skills entail and why I think it's important to really carefully teach people how to do all of those things confidently. That's your foundation of bartending there, is your ability to use your tools. So that's got to be number 1 for me. I think one of the next most important things I teach people is a classic sour. If they're not familiar with the approach to a classic sour in that recipe, I think that's a big eye-opener for beginning bartenders, that they can approach almost any spirit on their shelf and mix it with 1 part sweet, 1 part sour, 2 parts spirits, or roughly those proportions depending on your palate, and you're going to come up with a really good drink. I try and teach people the categories of what makes an acid, what makes a sour, what makes a sweet syrup, and how different modifiers like liqueurs and things are going to play into your overall flavor balance in a cocktail. So understanding the ins and outs of a classic sour is integral. I think that's a huge step towards success for a lot of bartenders. Sanitation and things that relate to your health department inspection are very important. I think those are things that a lot of bars and bartenders take for granted, but those are definitely all practices that are put in place for a reason, things that keep your guests and yourself healthy and happy. I do get a little picky about grooming with my bartenders and making sure people have their hair pulled back and everyone's clean and presentable, in that same vein, I guess. But I guess specifically it's knowing your health code requirements and being able to work within those realms. Making simple syrups, doing ingredient preparation, that's a really important technical skill that I like to teach people right off the bat, especially when you're talking about simple classic sours. A lot of people don't really understand even how to make a 1-to-1 simple syrup. It's simple.
Tell me a little bit about this. Can you get into the chemistry of sours a little bit? That was really interesting. Like, can you break that down to like love science? Anything that's science-ish
the science of sours. I mean, I really believe there's a lot that goes to making a great crafted cocktail, and especially even within the realm of a classic sour. There's lots of different ways to flavor a drink and to layer flavors into a cocktail. But within a classic sour, we're playing on those sweet and sour flavors, and we've got 1 part sweet, 1 part sour, 2 parts spirit. That's my basic rhyme and reason, give or take a little bit, like I said, depending on people's palates. The spirit should be present. You should always be able to taste what it is that your base spirit is that you're working with. Within the realm of different kinds of spirits that someone could be working with, I might steer my bartenders towards using different kinds of acids. I feel like some flavors play better together than others do. Of course, we know there are spirits like tequila and lime or grapefruit that naturally get along great. I don't know. I know people definitely mix like lime and cognac and things together, but that's one I would avoid more. So I really don't think there are any hard, fast rules flavor-wise that I haven't encouraged people to at least try breaking. But I definitely have conventions that I feel like through trial and error, making bad cocktails over the years, you learn some things work and some things don't work as much. So, you're balancing your sweet and your sour. You're creating sort of an entry in the palate with that to stimulate. It's I call them tweedlers actually, but like an aperitif cocktail has that nice piece of acidity or bitterness in it that's going to get you salivating. It's getting ready to accept food, and a classic sour, in my opinion, almost does the same thing. That's getting your mouth ready to accept that base spirit, to taste what that is. A classic sour also is a great way to introduce spirit drinking to people that maybe aren't cocktail drinkers, that are more wine or beer drinkers, that might not really appreciate a very strong spirit forward cocktail, which is a great number of cocktails that are out there are these real spirit forward classic stirred drinks, but that's sort of a senior level cocktail for a lot of drinkers, especially that come to some of my bars. I like to introduce them to a classic sour because I think that it plays nicely with their palate and it introduces a more advanced spirit to them. Then as you get a little farther along, I mean, there are some wonderful spirits that I would shudder to put in with syrup and acid in any form, but we try and open the door and lead people through the threshold.
Great. So, okay, so in terms of business, if you were to walk into a bar and say, okay, first thing that you need to do in order to increase your revenue by 30%, is to do this one thing. Can you put that in a sentence of like, all right, the best way to increase sales right away, instantly, by at least 30% is to, and then whatever that would be.
I would say the best way to instantly increase a bar's revenue and sales is by introducing the concept of accountability. And I think that touches on a few different concepts. There's definitely overpouring is one of the biggest mistakes you're going to run into across the board. People, there may be, that relates to their point of sale system and their setup there. They might not have accurately priced their cocktails right. They're probably not checking their invoices and their pricing on products to see what they're actually paying for things, and are they charging the correct amount of money for the amount of ingredients and the quality of ingredients that are going into it. Consistency is a huge part of that. Also, having every bartender on the staff make the same cocktail the same way every time is going to help drive that forward and really take advantage of those pour costs. Once you've priced out your items correctly, you've managed to control overpouring, and you've corrected any point of sale system issues that you might have. I think one of the next best ways that I like to increase revenue in my bar is by implementing what I like to call my workhorses. I have certain brands that I've worked with that I've managed to get my best pricing on. And this doesn't always work in every state. Every state's liquor system works a little bit differently. So that varies from region to region, whether you're in a control state or not, how much some brands are able to give you free product on top of your goods, and how that's utilized in your bar program. So if I'm able to get a good volume discount on something, and I know that with integrity I can offer that to my guests at this price, that might be one of a better profit margin items for me. And then I probably also have a couple things on my menu that maybe aren't my best profit margin items, but they're going to be there to kind of offer some variety. But I try to sort of load up on those workhorses, or at least know who those brands are that I can utilize. In my venues, what we've been able to do is we've managed to put featured cocktails as a ongoing rotating item on our menu. Every 2 weeks our featured cocktail changes. So that allows me and my bartenders to play around with maybe some product that was brought to us, or some free goods that might have come that we are sort of sitting on not knowing what to do with. We can mix up a cocktail that we think is amazing. We can feature that for a couple weeks. And that also helps open up our customers' eyes to some really great drinks. This might be a Bud Light drinker, or someone, not that I don't have a good profit margin on my Bud Light pours, but I think that having a gateway drink, having a drink that you're able to put out to guests, we are able to offer those at a lesser value, or lesser price. They're still a great value, but during happy hour we discount those featured cocktails. That gets people's foot in the door with those. Those are a few number of ways there that I feel like I've been able to increase revenue in my businesses.
Great. Okay, so and then the last question is, why do you think you would be great for Bar Rescue? And what I would do is say, I would be great for Bar Rescue because, and then you can go into like your years of experience with the number of bars you help open, or the amount of people you trained, or that sort of thing.
Sure. I believe I would be an excellent candidate for Bar Rescue for a lot of reasons. I have, in the last 5 years in Denver, Colorado, I've opened 3 of the most successful, highest profile restaurant and bar concepts. I have received numerous awards for my hard work in cocktail creation. But I've also done a lot of traveling and a lot of educating. I love public speaking. I'm really comfortable talking to new people. I like being in front of the camera. I love media. I also have a history in rock and roll, so I'm used to being on stage. I played in a rock band for years that took me around. I've got a great rock and roll look. I've got a great rock and roll attitude. I think I'm very approachable for a lot of people, and I think that I'm also very professional. On top of my accomplishments that I've made that are tangible, I feel like I've made some really good professional accomplishments as a person. I've grown a lot in the last 10 years, and I've been fortunate enough to mentor a lot of up-and-coming bartenders in my area, in my scene, and I feel like it can help a lot more people out there.
Great. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And you can press stop.
Great. We'll stop recording.